Hello, we are looking at the next section of Unit 3 here, and it is Section 2, Angles Formed by Parallel Lines and Transversals. One thing I'd like you to have with you is 4 different colored pencils or markers or highlighters because I want to have you highlight some items on different angles here. So as we talked about in our first section, we identified corresponding angles, alternate interior, exterior, and same side interior. Today we have several postulates and theorems, which are basically rules that tell us how those angles are related when we have parallel lines. So notice our key word here is we are going to focus on having parallel lines for a while here. So I have 4 postulates and theorems we're going to look at. The first one, there's a blank right here. I'd like you to write the corresponding angles postulate. Corresponding angles postulate. And a postulate, again, is just a rule. It's just a basic rule about, in this instance, corresponding angles. So the postulate says, if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So one thing we're going to add here is these are parallel lines, so we're going to add the symbols to show parallel lines. Notice these are in the form of a conditional, an if-then statement. So if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, and I'm going to put T for transversal, then the pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So here's where I want you to take your colors. I'm going to pick one color, and I'm going to color in 1 pair of corresponding angles that are congruent. And those 2 are green. And you can tell visually they are the same size. So if you have parallel lines, these angles will always be the same angle measure. Right next to it I have a second set. And remember, corresponding are in the same general location but along the other line. So upper left, upper left. I have another set right here, kind of in the lower left, lower left. And then on the last pair in the lower right section and the lower right section. So those are going to be congruent, which means they're the same angle measure. So again, we have 4 pairs right here. Okay, our next one is actually a theorem. This one is called alternate interior angles theorem. Alternate interior angles theorem. And this might be one of our first theorems. T-H-E-O-R-E-M. It says here, if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of alternate interior angles are congruent. So let's add parallel lines. Sometimes you'll see it colored in almost like a triangle. Okay. So let's indicate where the alternate interior angles are. So I have a set, remember they alternate the transversal, but they're in between the parallel lines. So I have a set here and a set right here. And then I have a pair right here and then over here. Okay. Those are alternate interior. Next one is going to be alternate exterior angles theorem. Alternate exterior angles theorem. Same if then. If 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of alternate exterior angles are congruent. So make your lines parallel, add the marks. So my alternate exterior angles, I have one in the upper right, and then one in the upper left, and then lower right. And then on my other pair, remember, you alternate that transversal and it's on the exterior. Finally, this one is called same side interior angles theorem. Same side interior angles theorem. Okay, and this one says, if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of same side interior angles are supplementary. So let's add our parallel marks. All right, same side interior, we would have, let me back up. if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of same side interior angles are supplementary. So in our diagram, I'm not going to color these in on this with the same color. I'm going to make one of them green and one of them purple. Okay, and so when I do that, you can visually tell these are not the same size, but they are supplementary. So I'm going to write here plus 180. They're going to add up to 180. Now I do know that the alternate interior angles are congruent, so I'm going to make this one green, oops, and this one purple. And so then these two are going to add up to 180. So we've got corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior are congruent, alternate exterior are congruent, and same side interior are supplementary. Okay, in the next video, I'm going to go ahead and go through some of these examples with you. So if you've got all this taken care of, you can move on to the next video.